pleasure having you. Here are the reasons why the Earth is not a globe and is not spinning. 1. If the Earth were a globe, some people would have to walk upside down. Earth is not a globe. Do you really think people wouldn't feel if they walked upside down? If you would walk upside down, you would certainly feel it. Even if you do a headstand, you feel the blood rush to your head, and most people cannot stay in such a posture for more than a minute, let alone continuously living by being spun up and down. When this argument is presented to those who believe in the ball Earth theory, they reply with a learned line of the controllers, but in space, where is up and down? How do you define up and down? This is supposed to settle the fact that we can stay upside down and not feel it. Do not be deceived by this philosophical explanation designed to confuse and end your line of thought. If you stand on some surface, there is up and down. And if you stood upside down, you would definitely feel it. This leads us to another false claim, that what keeps you from falling off the ball Earth is gravity.
Quoting those who advocate the globe model. It is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth, and the inhabitants thereof are as grasshoppers, that stretcheth out the heavens as a curtain, and spreadeth them out as a tent to dwell in. Isaiah 40:22. The word circle is Strong's H2329, hug. It means circle, circuit, or compass. Under divine inspiration, Isaiah was deliberate in his word choice, not lacking a Hebrew word to describe ball, as in the following: He will surely violently turn and toss thee like a ball into a large country. Isaiah 22:18. Isaiah chose to use Strong's H1754, dur, not 2329, hug, altogether different terms. Yahuwah sits upon the vault of...
There is no such thing as gravity. It was never proved. It was invented by a Lucifer-worshipping Freemason Isaac Newton, and nobody could ever explain how it works. It was invented to justify the reason why people do not fall off the globular Earth. It's definitely a flawed concept, because it states that gravity somehow manages to keep the oceans curved by its attraction force. But fails to explain why light objects can totally disregard this law and easily lift off from the Earth, like butterflies do. Heavy celestial body of Moon is supposedly kept in its orbit by the Earth's gravity, yet butterflies feel no pull towards the Earth and can easily lift off from the ground. There is no gravity, there is only a simple law of density, which states that the objects that are denser than air fall to the ground, and those that are less dense, like gases, rise up. Also, probably celestial objects are kept in their orbit by the law of electromagnetism. Which leads us to another false theory which is presented when people, doubting the validity of the spherical Earth, ask this question. The Earth is round, and it's spinning, how come we don't feel the spin? This is explained by the all-knowing astronomers that it's because the Earth's spin of around 1,000 miles per hour influences the atmosphere, the air that we breathe, to spin together with it. But the fact is that 3. The Earth doesn't spin. If it would really spin, together with the air around it, it would only spin in one direction. And indeed it's told that the Earth rotates from the west towards the east. Although there are more spins introduced to further confuse, together with the introduction of astronomical numbers to overwhelm the human brain, these need not concern us if the basic spin is proved to be wrong. And it's proved to be wrong every hour of our lives, yet most people never see that. The Earth were to spin close to 1,000 miles per hour in one direction together with its atmosphere. It would be impossible to walk in the opposite to its rotation direction. If we would attempt to do that, we would be instantly crushed by such a brutal force. If the Earth would really rotate at 1,000 miles per hour together with its atmosphere, we wouldn't observe stationary clouds, or clouds moving in a westward direction in a leisurely way. The Earth is supposed to be spinning at 1,000 miles per hour, yet the clouds can stay totally still, or change their direction of moving. If the earth would spin that fast, or spin at all, we would not experience the wind that blows in any direction it wishes, or blows not at all. People, please, think about this. How could we experience a strong wind and a weak wind, blowing in whatever direction it wishes, or not blowing at all? Science has no real explanation of such wind behavior because it cannot explain that which doesn't fit its false theory.
Yahuwah sits upon the vault of the heavens above the earth, and the inhabitants of earth appear as grasshoppers from this vantage point. How great he is!
Now just take a look at the ball Earth, or the supposed ball Earth, where the axis is 23.4 degrees off being vertical. It leads you to 66.6 degrees off horizontal. If you think this is just a coincidence, take a look at this. Earth is supposedly orbiting around the sun and moving at 66,600 miles an hour.
According to Scripture, the earth is immovable. Fear before him all the earth. The world also shall be stable, that it be not moved. 1 Chronicles 16:30. Yahuwah reigneth. He is clothed with majesty. Yahuwah is clothed with strength, wherewith he hath girded himself. The world also is established, that it cannot.
Airplanes also prove that the earth is a plane. Earth is not a globe. They fly west to east, east to west, and reach the opposite destinations of the same distances in the same or similar lengths of time. This would be impossible if the earth were to spin in one direction at 1,000 miles per hour, as if it would spin this way, planes would reach eastward destinations much faster. And since a typical cruising speed of a commercial aircraft is only 600 miles per hour, it would not be able to reach westward destinations, as it would not catch up with the faster than the aircraft spinning earth. 4. Sun and moon are not distant, but very close to the earth. Some estimate both the sun and moon to be less than 4,000 miles away from the earth, instead of the alleged 91 million miles, for the sun. The most obvious proof of the sun being close is the way its rays spread out, as seen in this picture. Sun isn't far from the earth, but very close. It would be impossible to see the sun the way we see it, with its rays spread out this way, if it were very large and far away from us. This kind of sight would be impossible to witness if the sun were 91 million miles away. The rays of the sun that's so far away, and with the alleged sun's radius of almost 865,000 miles, would, reaching the tiny faraway globe of our Earth, appear completely vertical. The excuse of the astronomers with regards to this is that we see rays this way because it's an optical illusion. They explain this by the phrase linear perspective. This cannot be, since linear perspective only applies to horizontal, and not vertical, lines. You can easily see this by looking at a long corridor, where you witness horizontal lines running into each other in the distance, yet vertical lines of walls remaining unaffected by the illusion. 5. The moon is self-luminous. If the moon weren't self-luminous, we wouldn't be able to see the rest of its shape during its waning or waxing phases. The moon is not a dead satellite, and it doesn't borrow its light from the sun. It's self-luminous, like it was told in Genesis of the Old Testament. It seems to be semi-transparent, which would perfectly explain its seeming indentations, and it looks like it has different phases in itself. The fact that it's self-luminous is the reason why during its waxing and waning periods we are still able to see the full outline of its shape, like it's seen in the image above. If it would really borrow its light from the sun, we could never witness such a thing. So, if the sun were to give its light to cause waxing and waning, the illuminated moon parts could never be as clearly defined as we see them to be. What's more, in order to be able to reflect sun's rays, the moon would have to have a reflective surface, like that of some kind of metal, but it doesn't. And even if it did, it would never be able to reflect as brightly and in such a defined way as it seemingly does. I'm quite sure that everyone watching this video clip has witnessed the full outline of the moon during its waxing or waning periods. But how many of us have questioned this? How can we, if we take everything the science tells us as gospel truth? We trust the ever-changing its mind science theories, and we deny that which we plainly see every day.
The world also is established, that it cannot be moved. Psalm 93:1. Say among the heathen that Yahuwah reigneth. The world also shall be established, that it shall not be moved. Psalm 96:10a-b. Bless Yahuwah, O my soul. O Yahuwah, my Elohim, thou art very great. Thou art clothed with honor and majesty, who laid the foundations of the earth, that it should not be removed forever. Psalm 104, verses 1 and 5. The earth and the heavenly bodies are enclosed by the firmament. And Elohim said, Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And Elohim made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And Elohim called the firmament heaven. And the evening and the morning were the second day. Genesis 1, 6-8.
So if the earth is not a globe, and it's not spinning, then what is it, and how does it look like? The earth is flat, and it probably looks more or less like this. The earth is flat, like God created it to be. Which is also proved by the UN logo. Again, hidden in plain sight. They are mocking us, and nobody cares, and nobody sees, because everyone is involved in the little details of their lives which are mere distractions from seeing the big picture, and believe in the mass propaganda not even knowing that they do. Their opinions are exactly in harmony with the plans of the elite, and they think them to be theirs, and arrived at independently. Shine your eyes. Highly suggestible minds of children readily absorb all they're told. Later such beliefs might remain totally unquestioned since they've been taken as absolute truth. Since our birth, we are told not to trust our senses, not to believe in what we see, but to trust the authority. When children, who are yet incapable of properly reasoning, are told that teachers know everything, they believe this to be true. So they don't question the misinformation they're fed with, like that the earth is a globe and that it spins, and these false beliefs become the basis from which they judge everything they see in the world usually for the rest of their life.